It was Chof Ches Sivan, Hefsek Shem. And that day, the Rebbe went to the oil, and before the Rebbe left to the oil, he asked that a Dvar Malchus, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's number 14 of Dvar Malchus, should be printed on that day, and when he will come back from the oil, he will distribute this Dvar Malchus to everyone. Sure, you know there's a famous picture of the Rebbe walking out of 7 out downstairs, out of 770, and holding this Dvar Malchus in his holy hand. The Rebbe comes back to the oil, and Mahal, everybody's expecting that the Rebbe will give out the kuntaras. The Rebbe comes over to me by Oleinu, and he says, make an announcement that the kuntaresim have not arrived yet from the binder. It will arrive within the hour, and the Rebbe will come down again to give out the kuntaras. The Rebbe walked out, and Kachad. A while later, the Rebbe comes back downstairs to 770 to give out the kuntaresim. Around 6 weeks later was Chof Ches Sivan. Chof Ches Sivan, that in the introduction and Allah, marked 50 years of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzins arrival to the United States. It was very after Memches. The Rebbetzin was not young ordained at the time. But that was the date, Chof Ches Sivan, as we all know, when actually means the date that the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin were rescued from the Holocaust and arrived here to the United States. Again, the Rebbe goes to the oil, instructs the print kuntaras Chof Ches Sivan. It's printed. The Rebbe comes back from the oil, and at that time, when the Rebbe came back to the oil, the Varenkeit, the Koch, the radiance, which was at that evening in 770, cannot be described. The Kudim, the Simcha, the Akleinitite, they'll come. If not for this day, Chas v'Sholom, they'll be here. This is the day God rescued the Rebbe. The Rebbe comes into the Medrash, and as I said, the singing and dancing is murder. The Rebbe, before he went up to the Bima, was stopped by his few older Tzidim to give the Rebbe a bracha for this very special day. The Rebbe goes up to the Bima, he responded to the bracha which was given to him, and the Rebbe goes up on the Bima, and Minach is down, and followed by Ma'aser. Rabbi Werner comes over to me and he says, no, let's do the same we did Pesach Sheni. Make the announcement that the kuntaresim have not arrived from the binder, and when they'll arrive, the Rebbe will distribute it. A very good question. The point of the break was to give the Rebbe an opportunity, Pashas, to sit down, take a drink, and rest for a short while. The Rebbe went to the oil. When the Rebbe would go to the oil, he did not eat. When the Rebbe went to the oil, he stood on his holy feet the entire day. And he came back after a long day at the oil. So he thought it would be only a good idea that before the Rebbe starts giving out the kuntaresim, which also was something which lasted for over 4 hours usually. Whenever the Rebbe gave out kuntaresim, it was a 3.5 to 4 over 4 hour of giving out kuntaresim. So the Zokmir told it. I was told, I do it. I did not make the announcement. As I start making the announcement, the Rebbe, beautiful smile, and he says, very low, I heard it very clearly. It's printed already, and very quietly, Smile. Ashod machen a Hefsek. Besser machen a Chibur. In other words, why make a break? Break because I spoke already before midnight. So why make a break? Let us rather continue. The Rebbe knew very, very well what's behind it. And he knew what the Kavanah was. And the Rebbe went on with a full, long Sikha. And then, Konferenz in the and the Rebbe is standing on his holy feet and giving out Konferenz. Everything is Ashkocha Kodesh. In my little mind, it seems that there's a tremendous mirror in this line of the Rebbe, what the Rebbe said there. What the Rebbe is saying is Ashad Machal Hefsek. There's no such thing as making a break. To look through the teachings of the Rebbe to us, the Rebbe was not in favor of people retiring, was not in favor of people going to much vacation. The Rebbe